I was going to say, well, after losing the Queen, we lost another great today. Rest in peace, Coolio.
Oh yeah, no, we did hear about that the other day. We did hear about that the other day. I was like,
Because
oh.
unfortunately, he'll be spending all these lives in a gangster's paradise.
It was one of those things. Funny enough, Ellie said to me, she went, "Oh my god, have you heard about Coolio?" I said, "Oh my god, is he still kicking?" And she went, "No, not exactly." And I was like, "What?" And she went, "Yeah, he's died." I went, "Oh."
Dorks Down Under.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
He was earlier. Now not.
Now, no longer, Jordan. Okay, sorry. Anyway, these things do happen.
I still remember. I remember seeing him live. He comes down to Melbourne. Like he spends a lot of time in Australia doing tours, and like he plays like all these songs, and everyone's just sitting there going, "Just play Gangster's Paradise." And then at the end of the show, he plays Gangster's Paradise, and everyone cheers, and then literally the entire place vacates. And I'm like,
We have a very similar story. When I was at uni, we had Chesney Hawkes come for one of the student union nights. So and he's come. He's been working on a new album, and of course, he's trying to do the new stuff. We all dogged him and bullied him to do "I Am the One and Only" 3 times. We got him to do it.
oh wow.
He was,
Jesus
and
Christ.
you could just see his soul dying a little piece at a time. Because it's
man.
like he's just trying something else, and we're all going because we're all drunk students going no, boo.
Oh god.
And when you think as an adult, you're like, yeah, that was kind of rude and being a dick.
Know. He's
But it was
just
still
trying to
worth it for the Chesney Hawk. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 8. Are we on 8 now? I think 8.
I think so. That sounds about right,
Are we on
actually.
8? I think it's 8. Right, anyway. It's 8 from now, even if it's 9 or 6, whatever we're on. It's episode 8. Anyway, hello. Welcome, everyone, to the podcast. I'm your host, Jordan, here from Dorks Down Under. Joining me, my co-host and good friend, Dez. Looking very, very entertaining over there.
Oh man, I just shaved my head, so it's feeling very short.
Very short. Yeah, I need to tidy myself up.
Because we're going to look pretty soon.
We're going to look pretty, man. Going to look pretty. So yes, we are. This week we are going to be discussing. Well, basically, this is an ode to Ryan Reynolds, our Lord and Saviour and Master. We love him so much.
Aviator gin pioneer.
Telephone business. Was it Mint Mobile? He does and everything else.
Didn't he buy a Welsh football team as well?
Yes. Well, I want to talk about that as well because I've been watching the documentary on it. It's so good.
See, I didn't realise that was real up until like probably about a week and a half ago when I saw a thing on YouTube about him talking to obviously the guy from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like a piss take, and I just thought it was just like one of those mock documentaries, and it was just meant to be like a funny series. And then they're like, "No, it's serious." I called him, I dumped into his DMs, and then went, "Do you want to buy a football team?" And I went, "Yeah." And then I had to go back and tell Blake what happened. I'm like, "That actually happened?"
Yeah, that actually happened. So yeah, basically from the top.
Yeah,
from
sorry,
the top.
that's
so
all I know.
The reason why, originally I think we were going to discuss Marvel movies, and this kind of segues in because the internet got broken this week for 2 things that broke the internet on the same day.
Yes.
Was one, you were either on the For You pages or Instagram posts or stories or whatever for seeing the Try Guys have broken up. Boo hiss. Apparently, the one who modelled himself about I'm the one who's married with a wife, cheated. Who gives a rat's ass? We don't care.
I don't even know who the Try Guys are. I'm Googling them.
Oh, God, they're not that relevant now. They were relevant about 10 years ago. Massively, They basically, they worked on BuzzFeed. They did loads of, there's 4 different stereotypical guys, and basically they did try new experiences and foods and blah blah.
Yeah,
blah,
I'm just looking at just on my other screen. I'm looking at thing, and I'm like, I have no idea who they are.
Yeah,
they kind of look like they're the hetero queer eye for straight guy.
Yeah. Apart from one of them isn't. But anyway.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but apart from that, so that was in the morning, and then literally about midday, when I'm on my lunch and I'm flicking through TikTok, and then suddenly I'm greeted by our glorious saviour Ryan Reynolds on the screen. And it's like, oh, what's this? Because it's Ryan Reynolds. Why wouldn't it?
I think that's exactly what most people did too, because it was just him sitting on a couch. If you haven't seen it, it's just him sitting on a couch, and it looks like he's announcing something. Like it looks like he's just talking to the camera, and I was like, I don't even know what it is. It looks so unassuming.
So
and then it drops.
The big announcement is that he's talking about basically bringing Deadpool to the MCU for Deadpool 3. He's talking about how he needs to make an impact in the statement, and he's doing all this beautiful build-up, and he goes, and we've got nothing. We got nothing, and it's like, oh, we are stuck. And he says, there was this one idea, and then in the background we see our other great Marvel character, Mr. Hugh Jackman, aka the Wolverine, walking behind him, and he says, hey Hugh, do you want to play Wolverine again one more time? Sure, Ryan.
That's all he says.
And then he then looks at the camera, and it plays. It's I will always love you by
by The Bodyguard by Whitney
by Whitney Houston.
Oh man, that was so good. And then have you seen there was another one that Hugh Jackman did after it?
No, I don't think I've seen that one.
So it was them two sitting on the couch.
It's when and then they go to talk about the movie, but then music's music is playing over the top of them, and you can't see what they're saying.
But they're just like stabbing each other and pretending to die, and then there's other things. It's so stupid that I'm just like, I want this to happen, but I'm so afraid that it's literally going to be like Deadpool, and then it's just going to be like a cut scene or a throwaway scene, or he's just going to run into Hugh Jackman like on his adventures, like he's going to be fighting somebody, and he's like, Hugh Jackman, aren't you the one that played Wolverine? He's like, yeah, I'm an actor. What? And then break the fourth wall. That's what I'm afraid is going to happen.
Well, no, right. So there's this content creator on TikTok I follow called Goofy Straw Hat, and he's done loads of like critiques of Disney and Marvel and all. He goes to he's been invited to red carpet and stuff like that. But he brought up a really good way you can
call us Marvel. Call us.
Oh God, we wish. But he brought up a really good way to tie it in, because at the end of Deadpool 2, we know that he's got Cable's time bangle. And he basically goes through and corrects all the mistakes, like by shooting Ryan Reynolds in the head so he doesn't make the Green Lantern movie and stuff like that.
Oh, it was so good. It was so good. And then you got Wolverine with weird Deadpool played by Scott Adkins, where he's like, shing, and he's like, boom. It's all right, not here for you. And he walks away.
Okay. I'm just here to fix things. So obviously you've got that now. In the big aspect, basically he said, right, obviously he's got this time bangle. What if he then goes to Logan? Obviously the last movie, the Wolverine, the Hugh Jackman movie was Logan. And that's where him and Patrick Stewart said they'll never come back and do the characters again, because they liked how they ended it for the thing, which was good. And it was good. I enjoyed it.
Yes.
But then obviously Patrick Stewart did come back as Professor X in Multiverse of Madness. And
hashtag spoiler alert.
Hashtag, oh come on, everybody knows.
I know it, but I haven't actually seen it.
Yeah. Oh my God, you got to see it. It is Marvel's first horror movie. It's quite good. But basically, it is, So he was saying that obviously, what if he goes back and he saves Logan, Old Man Logan, and or he finds another variant of him, not from the Fox franchise, possibly. So we might even we might actually get Hugh Jackman in the yellow-blue sort of armor suit, maybe looking more classic, or he might go to the 838 universe where the Illuminati was, and you might meet the Wolverine from that one. But then the big thing was that he was going on about, because obviously he's got this time bangle, maybe Kang takes notice, and Kang wants the time bangle. And basically the entire adventure happens where Kang's trying to kill them. And
follow him through time.
Follow him through time, and then maybe Wolverine dies or sacrifices to save Wade, and then he gets pushed into the 616 universe that way. And I was actually like, yeah, that would work. I'd quite enjoy that.
It'd be cool. Like, it's curious because it does have all these things with, oh my God, how are they going to do it? The only thing that I said still is that I'm worried that it's going to be a throwaway, or it's just going to be like a little thing, kind of like Patrick Stewart in Thingo, where he kind of comes out, and then that's it. Like, I would love it to be more like a buddy cop thing where Wolverine's trying to save things, and
we would like it that way. Personally, I think it would work out really good if they did have Wolverine go through the movie and then
whatever
sacrifice himself, whatever happens at the end. Obviously, because we know that Hugh Jackman doesn't want to play Wolverine anymore.
Yeah,
because obviously he's openly admitted saying the amount of time and effort to get to Wolverine body is horrific now. He said when he first started doing it, it wasn't as bad, but now he's got to keep. It takes so much longer for him to do it. So that's the reason why he said he never wanted to do it. He was happy hanging up the claws, as he said.
Well, we could just get like a fat Wolverine like we did Fat Thor. He just comes out and he's just like he could just be sitting there leaning back, just going, just drinking beer, going, "Oh, I need another pizza," or just something. And then he kind of comes out and he tries to put the old suit on and it won't go over, so he just chucks on a hoodie. Like that's what I want to see. Like I just think it'd be funny as.
Yeah,
but
Wolverine's died so many different ways, so there's good ways to kill him. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Logan as the movie was really good. I just didn't like. I didn't like the twist on it that they found his DNA and cloned him, and then it just because his regeneration factor's wearing off finally and blah blah blah. It was a bit of a meh, personally.
What I also found weird about that too, though, is obviously with the regeneration thing. But when you see it in the first movie, like where he's running through like the Civil War and World War II, and
that's
X-Men. I'm like he's obviously lived for like many decades, if not centuries.
Centuries, yeah.
And then randomly, it just goes, "All right, we're gonna stop now." Like. I don't know. Personally, that was one thing that I wasn't 100% on. I'm like, how did his powers just randomly wear off now after like centuries or several thousand years, and now all of a sudden his powers just like, oh, you know that mutant power you got? Oh, can't be fucked. Like,
yeah, it's. I mean, the one thing that has always been good about the X-Men is you have all these wacky powers, but they all work on different ends of the spectrum. It's like, for example, my favorite X-Man, apart from Nightcrawler, is Iceman, Bobby Drake.
Oh yeah,
I always like Iceman. Now Iceman's technically an Omega level mutant, even though he's not. The only reason he can be is because theoretically he could freeze the entire planet. If he was to channel all his power and do that, he could theoretically cause a planetary ice age. Now, but likewise,
don't piss him off.
Yeah, but likewise, think about it, right? Magneto is technically an Omega level because theoretically, like when in the terrible Apocalypse movie, they had that one, that one. He got powered up, and suddenly he can feel the entire Earth's magnetic field properly and drag everything he needs to. So, there's many ways of going about it, but I think that they could have. I think Deadpool and Wolverine, especially if they could not make it like the original Fox X-Men Wolverine, make him a variant of Wolverine that way, get him in the classic. Because obviously we had in 838 universe, you had Professor X in his big yellow floating wheelchair.
Yeah.
So if we can get the fashion Wolverine outfit, maybe armored up more rather than spandex.
Well, wasn't there one where we got like a case opening and you got to see the yellow Wolverine one?
Yeah, what was what was that one? That was the Wolverine. Was it the?
That's
Wolverine?
what I thought. Yeah. Yeah. When he went to Japan.
He goes to Japan. He fights the Sil. Yeah, because then it's before the Days of Futures Past. That's it. Yeah, because he gets his bone claws back. Because the samurai guy cuts through it, but on the deleted scenes, he opens up the case and it's his brown and yellow uniform.
Yeah,
from like the Silver Age or whatever it was, sort of thing. But
yeah, like that. I'm hoping it's something like that. I'm just afraid that it's going to be a throwaway, and that's my problem. Is I'm like, why would you spend all this time bringing him back? And then just have him like cameoing or something like that.
I think they should definitely bring him back. Don't cameo him. Make him a variant. Don't make him Wolverine from Fox's universe, the one that we all know and love. Because that played itself out. He died as Old Man Logan. great, fabulous. Let's leave him there. You know, in my opinion, let's play. You know, we're in the multiverse now. Let's have a little play around. I think, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, what I'm hoping too, and what I'm hoping happens, and this may be like a bit weird and a bit out there, but part of me hopes, well, what they actually do is they bring him back in. Say if he does go to different time, like different universes, they bring Logan back, so he fights with him. Then he travels to another universe, and then they bring back another Wolverine. Which is them introducing the new Wolverine of the MCU.
Yeah, or they something happens and they bump into who's going to be the new Wolverine. You know.
And I think it would be good to see several Wolverines in this thing that help him along the way.
I think.
And
so,
bring back Hugh Jackman, and then I would love it for them to introduce the new one. Just because I think that would be cool.
If you say that as well, but also think about if they're going to do it that way with Wolverines. Imagine doing it with the Deadpools as well. So suddenly maybe we get Gwenpool.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Gwenpool, or you know, and all the other, and because there's so many different, you know, there's a couple of other Deadpools, isn't there? I think there's Deadpool Kid, there's Kidpool and stuff like that. So there could be some interesting. Let's have a bit of a play around. With that. I think Kang, I mean, obviously, I don't want to say that. Yeah, it should be Kang as well. I don't know, but I can't think of another multiverse bad guy that immediately comes to mind that I can go, ooh, this would work, sort of thing. Kang at the moment's the only one I can think of that goes, yeah, actually Kang would work. Or maybe he needs a lackey who reports to Kang. But
yeah, I think it'd be cool. So here's a question.
Yeah.
You've got Hugh Jackman coming back.
Yep.
Who are the two other actors you'd like to see come back as Wolverine?
Now, you see, if Multiverse of Madness hadn't been out yet, I would have said John Krasinski.
Oh, really?
I personally, you know, he's got the physique for it and stuff like that, you know, and I think it could allow him to be the darker, because he always gets portrayed in the more lighter roles, I call them, you know, sort of, you know, maybe not you know, maybe either funny or good guy, or good. He doesn't get to play that end of the spectrum too much, so I kind of think, you know, he's got the physique for it and it would work.
That'd be cool.
I would say I can't say Henry Cavill, because I can't see Henry Cavill with mutton chops. Personally, I don't think
I would like to, though. I would definitely like to.
I don't know, but yeah, I mean,
what about his mustache in the Mission Impossible, where he's like, I'm gonna recharge my arms. He's like, he's recharged. He's like,
but
click, click.
I don't know who else. I mean, literally, John Krasinski was up there for me personally, but then he got Mr. Fantastic, and actually, when I saw that, I was actually like, yeah, that works. I mean, there was fan art about it years ago, and I thought that really works. Actually, John Krasinski is
personally, I would love to see, and I know that it's just because I love him, but I would love to see Carl Urban take it on.
Carl Urban?
The guy from he's a Kiwi actor from The Boys. He was in.
I know. Sorry, I know exactly what you mean.
Plays Bones in Star Trek. I would love to see him play it.
Yeah, I mean, he could do it. Yeah, because he can do the scruffy look quite well. You know, he can do.
I was gonna say, all you got to do is shave here, and he's done.
Yeah, I mean, because
from The Boys.
Yeah, I mean, because he can do. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, Carl Urban would probably be a good shout, actually.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
And I won't lie that. And like I know that there's that dude that played Elton John who's been thrown around. What's his name?
Tarek.
What's his name? Is it Edgerton? No, Egerton or something.
What was his name?
He just played Elton John. I just think it'd be funny to go from Elton John to Wolverine and swearing and smoking cigars.
Yeah, sorry. Taron Egerton.
Oh, that's it. But I know he's been thrown around a lot for recent, and I kind of like that because in the movies, in the shows, in the comics, Wolverine's only like 5'8", 5'10". So I wouldn't mind having a shorter Wolverine. But seeing a recent thing from Jensen Ackles with when he's bulked up for Soldier Boy. I'm like, that would be a cool casting.
Yeah, no, that would be a good one as well. I mean, yeah. I mean, you've kind of hit the nail on the head. It's these guys who are doing these other superhero movies that aren't even associated. But yeah, I mean, that could work. But I think out of them three, I would say personally,
Carl
I think
Urban's
Carl
just
Urban
sick.
out of your three immediately I would say that's the one I'd pick.
And if you could have one like completely stupid one that doesn't suit the role at all, but you just think would be funny to see it.
I don't know.
I would love to see Melissa McCarthy play Wolverine, just because I think it'd be hilarious.
No, I can't stand her. I hate her. I don't know what it is. Every movie she does aggravates me. I can't stand her.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, I don't know what it is. It's just, I mean, we've tried different movies, comedies, we're figuring, maybe it's just her comedy style I don't like. No, I just do not. I do not like her at all. I hate all the movies she's in. Where it's funny when she goes on panel shows or chat shows and she's talking, like her, she's great. Yeah, I think she's got good delivery and all that jazz. But it's just every movie she does, I'm like, I hate this movie.
Oh my God! Trigger warning, guys! Like Jesus.
But yeah, I mean, I can't. Yeah, it's
like one that if they walked out on set and you'd be like, what the fuck?
I mean, who would you pick? It could be if that. I honestly can't think. Or maybe I thought of a good one that might be funny and it'd be good for Deadpool to comment on. Was what if you had Liam Hemsworth?
Oh. Actually, he probably wouldn't be that bad at it.
He wouldn't be that bad, but you know what I mean? It would give Deadpool ammunition to make a joke, so many jokes about Thor and all that jazz.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
it would just be funny to see him randomly go. He's like, I can hear something, and then just hands him a hammer, and just like a normal hammer, just to hand it to him, and then he's just like, I've got this, shing, and I'm just like, oh, that'd be funny. I just think, I'm hoping that there are a few like silly things. I would love to see many iterations of Wolverine, like silly stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, one of my favorite iterations of Wolverine was he was in this old X-Force comic series, and it's like, I think it's X-Force, but it's set in the future, and it's like Jubilee's now running the X-Men team and stuff like that. And there's this, I can't remember if it was what I'd see. It's that long. This was back when I was a kid and I was reading it, and it's like you go through the comic and then you see her go out and she's standing and looking into the forest at the end, and basically suddenly something comes out and it's Wolverine, but basically because the mutation's keeping him alive, he's become more like a beast now. So he's like he's quite like massive, like a bear. And he walks and stalks and everything like that. But of course he sees Jubilee and he knows and he loves Jubilee, and he's like, so he sort of hunkers down and she's like, hello, Logan.
I was gonna say, randomly speaking of a bear, have you seen, I think it's called The Guardians?
The Guardians.
So it's a Russian superhero film. So one of them can control like the earth and rocks and stuff. One dude moves at like super speed and is like this assassin. One of the girls, I think she can go invisible, and then one of the dudes turns into the bear. But the problem is when he turns into a bear, he's more like a beast
I have
than a
seen
thingo.
it. I have seen this. It's awful.
And they strap like this machine gun that works with its thingo and automatically protects it. It's the most, guys, if you get a chance to watch it, you've got to download it. It is ridiculous. It is funny. It's actually not as bad as what it is, but it's just like very bizarre, like with the way they've done things. And I didn't hate it, but I just remember watching this thing and I'm just like, what the hell is going on? But this was actually, and I read this afterwards. Well, there's rumors that there may be a second one, but even then it didn't do as well outside of Russia, it was in Russian. So I'm not surprised it didn't do well outside of Russia. But there was rumors that they were going to try to turn this into something bigger, like their own Russian Marvel.
Yeah, it was going to be like it was meant to be like the Russian MCU, basically.
Yeah,
is what they were trying to make it, and it was cancelled sequel. Yeah,
it has been.
It's supposed to have another superhero from China. Later, Guardians 2 has been approved. Oh no, has been approved by Turbo Films with Chinese distributor for the first movie in co-production. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, because that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to make it so because it didn't do as well over there, so they were trying to make it bigger.
On the 20th of December 2020, in an interview with Bubble Comics, Sarek Anderson was asked why Guardians 2 never came out, and the latter explained Deadpool 2 was to blame for everything.
What?
Yeah, God knows. It's like, what? Doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I remember watching it. I think it was on Netflix one night, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll put this on. And I was like, oh my God, this is awful.
Was it on Netflix? Yeah.
It was on Netflix. It was, and as I said, it was terrible. You know, when he's like, you watch a movie, you're like, I've just watched this. I deserve my time refunded, is what I deserve.
I thought it was. I mean, to be fair though, like it's not something you go out there and just be like, oh my God, this is a hidden gem. I can't believe this. No, it's average at best, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
I don't know.
Netflix. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So go to Netflix, party people. I don't know. I would like to see a second one just because I want to see what happens. Like I know they blew the budgets out of. I knew that it was kind of all kinds of ridiculous, but just seeing a guy half bear with a friggin' rotary cannon firing and then turning into a bear and then having rotary cannons mounted to his back was just all kinds of stupid.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, it was a stupid movie, but the problem is that now you can't really do unless you're making fun of superhero movies. You can't do a movie like that anymore, and it be lapped up because there's too much expectation now.
Yeah.
You know, ever since Iron Man, the expectation's been like, oh, hang on, this is how good superhero movies can be. Sweet, you know, This is like, and that's what people kind of want now. So if you make something that's not as good, if you make something that's not as good as Iron Man 1, it's not going to get a pop unless it's got a big cult following.
Yeah. But I did feel like it could, like, I felt like some of the characters were cool. I felt like it could have been done a little bit better. Like, obviously, the director they got was literally known to make comedies and these low budget films. But I'm like, the characters were kind of cool. I would have liked to see where it gone had it been given a few more, like, just a little bit more understanding. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, I would love to see a second one if they actually release it. I just think it would be cool. But I want him to actually get a better director and I want him to actually get it done. Not to mention that dude with the cool, like he's got these blades where he pulls out and they're kind of like these full moons. And with super speed, you just watch him cut people in half. I'm like, he was such a cool character. And I don't know, like part of me thought this could have legs, but like it was just, it was very bizarre.
It's one of those, I mean, to be fair, I mean, one of my favorite series of Marvel is Deadpool. It is so good, and it's only because Deadpool breaks the fourth wall more than anything, you know, or he's making jokes about like what is it in the first one? He's like, "Oh, we're gonna take you to see the Professor, McAvoy or Stewart, because these timelines are getting confusing." And it's
yes,
and it's like yes.
There's so many good things. Yeah, I know. And that's the thing, though. There's so many really great lines in it. And I'm like, I just want to see. I'm just hoping it's done right. And as I said, if it is one of those ones where where it is kind of showing multiple different timelines, I'm fine with that. I just want Hugh Jackman to get a little bit more time. I don't want him just to be like come back for 5 minutes and then kind of just get exploded.
Well, also, I would like the movie to end where he meets Spider-Man as well.
Oh,
because
that'd be sick.
Because the bromance of Spider-Man and Deadpool in the comics. Well, even though it's only reciprocated one way, but still, it'd be like he meets Peter Parker and he's like, "Oh my God, I love you," something like that. Yeah, it'd be so good. But yeah,
or even if it's something silly like he meets Tom Holland or something like that, where I'm just like, "Oh my God, that'd be."
Oh no, I think imagine that he's falling out of a portal and he's about to hit the floor, and Spider-Man's web slings and saves him at the because he's in the right area, and he's like, "You're my hero."
Oh,
and Wade Wilson suddenly is like, or something like that. It could be good. It'll be really sweet, I reckon. But yeah, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how Spider-Man goes anyway, because now we know the symbiotes are in. Now they know that the Venom symbiote is now in the MCU sort of thing, because he left a piece of him behind. So that's going to try and get the Spider-Man at some point. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah. I was curious how that was done, and I'm like, but I got to admit though, like when that dropped, you just kind of like, wow, that was just massive. Like,
oh, it was, and as I say, it was like my For You page was then split in three for the day, because Costco's opened up in New Zealand. So between Try Guys breaking up, Costco in New Zealand, or it was Deadpool, people freaking out about Deadpool and Wolverine coming back, and it was like, oh my god, can I see something else today, please? I said I'm sick of looking at the same stuff. But yeah.
Well, I remember when I lived with Zoe, who was my old housemate. We used where she worked, it was right near the Costco. And I think because she worked in the area, part of they did when they did the promotion was that everybody got a membership. So Zoe got a 12-month membership. So on a Monday, I would go pick her up. We'd go walking through Costco, grab anything we needed to, and then you're allowed one stupid item every Costco, and then we would go have dinner in their food court. So it'd be like hot dogs for like $1.99 or like a slice of pizza for like $2. It was stupid. And I remember once she's like, I really feel like brownies. And I was like, yeah, we can make some brownies. And then and this is probably on the Sunday or the Saturday. And then we walked through Costco on the Monday and they had this box. And I kid you not, it's like 7.5 kilos of brownie mix. And I'm like, oh my God. So we cooked up, I think like 6 trays of brownies. I won't lie, I was pretty close to being sick. And then a couple of weeks later, our oven died. And I remember, so the actual oven, and so he's like, I really feel like brownies, but the oven's dead. I was like, so? She's like, what do you mean, so? I was like, you got to think outside the box. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, we have a waffle iron. We have a Breville, like a Jaffle toaster.
Yeah.
I'm like, put some mix in that. She's like, that won't work. And I get this message back, like I'm in a meeting and I'm like, yeah, cool. And my phone rings and I was like, yeah, I'll just let it go to voicemail. And when I check the voicemail, all I hear is, and then there was picture, and that was literally it. Because that's exactly what I heard. I couldn't understand a word she was saying.
I was about to say, I barely understood what you said there. The audio has trouble tracking you there for a second.
No, but that's pretty much how it was. Like she was so excited, and then I get home and there's 37 brownie waffles sitting on the counter, and she's been eating them all day. Like she's just been snacking on them all day. Remember, people, you can cook in other ways.
You can.
Brownies in a waffle iron.
Well, about to say, the other thing I want to discuss about our Lord and Saviour Ryan Reynolds is the Welcome to Wrexham documentary on Disney Plus at the moment, which is so good. I mean, I heard about it last year that he bought the football club because, I come from England and anything like that, immediately you get found out, you have aunts and uncles messaging going, oh my God, have you heard this? It's like, it's football, I don't care. But anyway.
Yeah.
But
it's not even football. It's a fifth tier.
Hang on. Team. Third tier, thank you. Third tier. They're English national.
Not when oh really? Not when they bought it. When they bought it, they were a fifth tier Welsh team.
No, they were still they'd come work their way back up to English national 1.
Oh, okay.
And they've got to finish the season as number 1 to get promoted, which is cool.
Oh my God.
But the documentary, I think it's been done in a really good pacey way. Because it's really useful because it's because not a lot of people understand. I mean, just the English league, so football league, and the way that you can be promoted, you can be demoted, and stuff like that is really complicated for a lot of people to understand.
Yeah,
especially Americans, because Americans play you're either Eastern Conference or Western Conference for them, because obviously their country's so big. You couldn't have a team from San Francisco go and play as a team from New York because it just doesn't work for them that way. But so they, the first thing that they struggle with is trying to understand. So hang on, so the bottom 2 teams at the end of the season go down, yes, but the top 2 teams go up, yes. So theoretically, you could be the worst team in England, and if you manage to get number 1, you go up, yes.
Yes,
right,
100%, and it's happened where there's been people that small little clubs have beaten like monsters in the FA Cup have been relegated or actually gone up, and quite often it's funny because you see 2 teams go down, then the next season they come up, then they go down, and then they go up.
And it's funny because obviously, so basically this is Rob's baby, isn't it? Realistically,
yeah.
But the only reason he couldn't do it on his own because he needs movie star money. Hence the reason he needs Ryan's movie star money because TV money don't cut it. Because suddenly they realise how much to reseed the pitch. What? It's like it's got to.
Oh God!
And it's just.
I can imagine.
Yeah, and it when they have to spend, I think I watched the latest episode last night, and they've had to increase their wage bill to 2.3 million for the wages. Yeah, and it's just like, yep, that sounds about right, and that's just for 1 year.
Yeah.
And
I'm wondering if it happens. So, like, I used to work for an AFL football team, and the AFL actually give each football team a percentage.
Yeah.
So, what happens is they depending on the team and depending on different things, they actually get like an X amount where they get delivered from the football team, from the AFL that make it off rights and different things, and then they use that for wages and different things, and then from there, obviously, they use their membership and jersey sale and stuff to then pad it out.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that happens there.
Yeah, it does happen, but it only happens for the Premier League, League 1 and 2.
Oh.
Now, there's 5 leagues, and basically it's Premier League 1 and 2. So if you're in that, you get some funding. Great, fabulous.
Yeah.
The other 3 leagues, there's no funding. You have no access to funding. It's got to be raised by fan ticket sales, fundraising events, advertising, sponsors,
OnlyFans,
pretty much. It is horrible for them, and because I come from a small town up on the west coast of Cumbria, and we have the Workington Reds, and my granddad played for them back in his heyday, and they've never been out of, as far as I'm aware, they've never been out of English National League sort of thing.
Wow.
But their football stadium also doubles as the speedway track off season.
Oh my god! Well, I remember seeing that when I was in London. It was an FA Cup match, and whoever it was like one of the big teams was coming down to like, I think it was like Fleet or something random like this. There was one around that area because that's where I was living at the time, and they were coming down, and they actually had to get a whole heap of temporary stands put in and stuff like that because they had nothing. Like they're used to having 100 people at the game at most. And then when it's a rivalry, it's like 150, but they haven't got the infrastructure. So they've had to bring in bars and they bring in this, and they end up winning, and it went bananas, and they raised like heaps of money just from that one game.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that's what the good thing about this FA Cup is. So for anybody listening, the FA Cup from memory is they just take all the English teams, whether you're in the first league, whether you're in the last league, and you just play each other.
No.
Isn't that what it is?
No, the FA Cup is only for League 1.
Oh, is it?
All teams in League 1. Is it League 2 as well? No, I think it's only League... I say this is where, because I don't pay attention. My dad's been talking football to me since I was this big, and I still don't pay attention. I still don't know how it works. I barely know how the offside rule works, I'll be honest.
Yes.
I am the most un-Englishman football supporter. The only time I enjoy watching football is when it's England playing, and I'll watch it.
Yes.
Because you've got to get behind you got to get behind the team spirit, and and support your country. But that's the only time I ever watch football.
Well, that's the weirdest thing, because for me, obviously, my mum and my heritage is Italian. So for a lot of the World Cups, I would follow Italy, mainly because Australia didn't have a team that made it ever. And now, since then, they've started to be making it. I'm like, that's cool, but then I still kind of have a bit of a soft spot for Italy, and I'm like, no, I'm so used to watching them now. So
yeah, well, it's one of those things of someone said, "Oh, would you ever support?" Who's it? What are they called? No, I can't remember.
Hang on, I've just wikied it. So it says the competition is open to all eligible clubs down to level 9 of the English Football League system, with level 10 access stand-ins for non-entries and stuff like that, including the competition of 20 professional clubs, the Premier League, 72 clubs in the English Premier League, and all clubs in step 1 to 5 of the National League system, as well as a tiny number of 6 acting as stand-ins.
Right, so it is open, but I don't think they ever make.
Yeah, I think what happens is
I don't think they get out of qualifiers. I think that's probably the problem. They probably just get beaten by all the big teams, and then that's the reason why I've never seen Fleet or Wrexham playing in the FA Cup, sort of thing. That's probably the reason why.
Okay, here it is. It says here the first 6 rounds of the qualifying competition. From there, 32 teams progress into the first round of the competition proper, meeting the first of the 48 professional teams from League 1 and 2.
And I guarantee you, when he says they're eligible, I guarantee you it's probably because you have to pay something to join. There's probably a thing, and it's probably, for the big clubs, it's chump change. Whereas
that's what I thought it was. I thought it was that everybody can apply, and then what happens is then the professionals get dropped in later, and then they get thing because this team won a few and ended up playing a bye or something, and they played against like one of the big teams and they won and everyone went bananas, and then obviously they got absolutely trounced the next game, but still funny.
Yeah, no, it's one of those. I think it's quite good. I mean, I enjoy. I mean, the Wrexham is. I'll be honest. Welcome to Wrexham is making my passion for the game coming back a little bit because I haven't watched any football for ages, sort of thing. Not since the World Cup, which was 2 years ago now, something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
It was 2 years ago. I mean, I know the Rugby World Cup's next year, so
that'll be good.
We're coming back. We're planning on going back to England next year, but we won't be there for it. It's because it's in France. I know France are hosting this year because there was a thing of maybe go back and watch a game. It would be nice, but
and then all the English went, but it's in France, so no.
Yeah,
like,
firstly you got to deal with French, and that's a problem unto itself. But
I like the French. I've never had an issue with French. I used to work with a lot of French.
The only good thing about the French is the food. That's it.
It's like the only thing I like about the French is their sweet buttery pastries. Oh yeah.
No, I'd say I've got no. I always joke about it because I'm the typical English bloke of why do you need to travel abroad? Why do you need to travel abroad? Says the man who moved halfway across the world. I know before anyone says.
Well, I lived in New Zealand for about 5.5, 6 months when about 4 months when the last Rugby World Cup was on over there. Because I actually went over there to work. So Spotless, the company I was working for, did the catering over there, and they had a joint venture with the O'Brien Group. So we had to send people from here over there. So we did a lot of the stuff. Oh my God, like we were in Eden Park, so up near your neck of the woods.
Oh, I know Eden. Yeah, been there a couple of times.
Yeah, and it was insane. Like, and even just like the pubs in the area, like we were actually staying like 40 minutes away from the ground, just because that was the only place I could get a hotel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not surprising. I mean, I find it really funny here how, I mean, New Zealand pretty much adopt their sports team. That's it, but there's no go between. It's one of these things, and when they lose a game, I mean, like the last Rugby World Cup, obviously England beat them. I think it was the semis. I think it was the semi-finals that England won. And for the entire week, it was like a week of mourning. Yeah. The next day, they were irate on the radio. You could hear them on the radio. They're speaking. They're livid. They're like, what's going on? Why is the coach so bad? Why? And it's just like, it's a rugby game, people. Can we all just dial it down a little bit? You think?
Yeah, because I remember being in the UK when England, like, so I think they just won. They'd won the Ashes twice, and they were all this, and they were going into the next Ashes that was over there, and they got beaten. You guys are sore fucking losers.
Oh no,
man.
no, I happily admit that the English do it as well, but the English get over it within a day. There's the loss.
The
next day is bad, and then it's back to old news. From there.
Man, anytime the cricket was on after you guys lost, and we had it on in the pub, somebody's like, "Oh, can we just change the channel?" It's like, "What happened?" "Shut up, man!" And you're just like, "Oh my God!" Like it was just like, you guys are the sorest losers, eh?
Oh
I'm
no,
like, damn.
Yeah, we are. But the problem is that we mourn. We like to mourn. English like a good mourn. We always love a good mourn. We can't help it.
Yeah.
If it's either we mourn about the weather, the sports. Life in general, we just have to have a whinge because I think it's the national identities that we got to have a good whinge, and nothing wrong with it. But it's just the way we are.
I like a good whinge on time for time, but 6 months in, you're like, guys, just calm down. Like, you live in London, your weather's been shit for 9 to 10 months of the year. Like, you can stop whinging.
Yeah, but it's the reason why. It's a funny reason why is that most people are like, why does the country stop when the sun shines? Like, because we don't get it. Literally, the second it's a sunny day, the pubs are all full. Especially if there's a beer garden, the pubs are full, tables are booked.
Yeah, I know.
And it's just, and everyone's like, oh my God, what? It's like when it snows as well. If there's half an inch of snow forecast, England stops. It's just we just can't deal with it.
It is bizarre. Like that was the funniest thing. Like when I went, because I worked in America and New England, and there was like at one point then we were getting like 8 to 9 feet of snow every day. So every day you'd be on the roof things. And I just remember being in, I think it was like Boxing Day, or it was either Boxing Day or Christmas Eve, And we went out there and there was some snow and there was all these people going, oh, there's snow. You go out there and there's like this much. Like to the point where you could see the footpath where people had walked were already clear. The roads were completely black because obviously the heat from the cars had already melted them. Like there was this much. But then there were people like going, oh, this. And then we had a whole heap of people come into the pub for lunch, mainly because they didn't go to work because of the fact that there was snow out.
Because it was snowing, yeah.
I'm like, it's this much. Like, what the hell?
It can't be helped. It can't be helped.
I was going to say, if English women think that much is a lot, I'm in. Jesus. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Oh, Des, you do realise that I keep putting clips of stuff together and put them on TikTok as well.
It's my self-deprecating humour is going to be good for the trailer. But it just used to always just shock me. And like, oh yeah, we stayed back. I was like, why? They're like, because there's too much snow. I was like, I can walk out there now and there's nothing on the footpaths, nothing. True, there's a little bit of a light covering. Like,
to be fair,
I don't know.
I remember the first time, my first job I got here, because obviously we landed here in October and I didn't get a job until January, sort of thing.
Lady of leisure much?
I was, yeah. No, but it was just one of those things that we were just struggling to find, because obviously I didn't have a work history in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, of course I don't have a work history in New Zealand. I've just moved here. What do you want me to do? And I was trying to get a job while I was abroad. You know, I was applying and they said, oh no, you can't, until you're in the country. Every company was the same. Until you're in the country, we won't even look at your CV. It's like,
yeah, 100%. I, as somebody that's lived in multiple countries, I got that all the time. Like there were times where like I was like, I've got bar experience. Oh yeah, I used to be a bar manager. They're like, no, we can give you a barman's position because you don't have any experience here. I'm like, okay. And then like I'd work there. Like the first place I worked, within 3 weeks, I was their bar manager because they're like, oh, you know what you're doing. I'm like, no shit. But then the weirdest thing is I was managing bars and running stuff here. And then when I came back to Australia, they're like, oh, we can only give you a bar supervisor's position because you haven't had any management experience here. I was like, I did, but it was like 4 years ago. Yeah, but that was 4 years ago. What have you been doing since? Managing bars in another country.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not here. Things have changed.
Yeah, no, I know.
Not that much. Not that much.
But yeah, when I did get my first job here, and we were at Christmas do, I think I got the call, and it was one of the random Christmas parties we were at, and said, "Oh yeah, they want to hire you." I'm like, "Get in." So it was like January 2nd was my start. No, January 3rd was my start date or whatever it was, and I was like, "Great." And they said, and one of my mum's friends was like, "Well, where's it at?" I said, "Oh, it's over in Albany." He went, "Where? How far is that from you?" And I said, 45-minute drive. And he went, "Oh my God, I wouldn't hire anyone that's not within 15 minutes drive of the factory." I'm like, "Why?" He said, "Well, who travels 45 minutes for work?" And I went, "I used to do an hour. I used to do an hour and a half when I lived outside of London getting on the trains."
I was going to say, and in London, that's probably good. Like I just remember watching people go 20 k's down the M25, and it would take them 2.5 hours to get to work. You're like, that's nothing. It's just one of those, even now, it's like now I go. I think now I go. So if I go the freeway on CityLink, it takes about half an hour. But in the mornings I go the other way because it's just easier. And I think it's like 40 minutes. And even then, that's not far. Like, I've worked jobs where I've driven and like longer than that.
I think it's just but to be fair, he wasn't the only Kiwi who said it to me. There was loads of other Kiwi. And I think it's just kind of that mindset. I mean, for me, obviously, you've traveled the world, so you've experienced it in lots of different countries. So you're probably like the same mindset as me that, if it's within an hour or at an hour, that's fine.
Yeah, like I'll be home by 6 o'clock. I'm golden.
Yeah, but it's like, when I moved out, when I was working for Games Workshop in central London, we moved to Hertford, and then that put my train time up to an hour and a half, and I was like, oh, so I'm losing 3 hours of my day just on the train, and then that was miserable. I mean, it was nice because I was I was at the end of a line, so it was like I would always have a seat. And it was always good, but it was just annoying. You just get, suddenly after a couple of months, it's like, oh my God, I'm losing so much goddamn time just sat on trains back and forth.
Yeah, I know.
And it's just like, so your days off were just nice, and people will say, "Oh, you're going to come meet us in London?" I'm like, no, I am not meeting you in London. I am staying outside of London.
Well, that's the one thing that I got lucky is that like I've driven most places, and even when I lived in London, it was like cushy because as the bar manager, as the assistant manager, either yourself or when I was the assistant manager, when I was the manager, one of you had to sleep in house, so there was apartment like above the thingo. So luckily for me, what I like to do is fall down the stairs at most of the pubs, because every pub I worked, so the first pub I worked at, the manager would live out, so I had to live in, and I was like, that's cool. Then the second one, the assistant manager was an English guy, so he didn't live in, so I had to live in, and I'm like, that's so cool. So I actually did pretty well for myself considering.
Yeah,
but,
it's so funny with. I mean, I remember talking to someone ages ago about that. About it's nice, working at pubs. It used to be nice if you were the living, and they went, "What's the living?" I went, "Well, either the manager or the owner and stuff like that would live in the apartment above it." And they went, "You have apartments above pubs?" And I went, "Yes."
Yeah.
How are you not aware of it? It's like pretty every English pub has an
accommodation or something.
Accommodation up top. It's pretty straightforward.
Well,
but they were just like, weird? Because I used to, because my mum, my mum used to run pubs and stuff like that, and we used to live above, and it was great. I used to love it. It was one of my favorite things. It used to always have good times and good nights and all that jazz. And
yeah. Well, that's the weirdest thing. Like even here, like you get a lot of the old school pubs that were always pubs. They're like these freestanding buildings, and they have accommodation up the top. Like Zoe, my old housemate, she used to live in one when she first came from Canberra to Melbourne. She was looking for a place, and they were just renting rooms out. And they used to have that all the time. And that's the weirdest thing. The pubs that used to be pubs actually still have the old school top floor and stuff. When I worked at another pub, the Waterloo, they end up just converting the upstairs from bedrooms to offices.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually not that weird when a lot of people think about it, but because it's not regular practice here, people are like, "Oh, it's weird."
Yeah, no, I think that's just the difference in times and culture and all that jazz nowadays. So it's just nowadays people are like, "Wait a minute, there's accommodation above a pub."
Yeah,
pretty straight. In fact, Wetherspoons now do hotel pubs in.
I was going to say
in the UK, and so you can book yourself into a Wetherspoons hotel. And you've got your pub downstairs, and you've got actually quite decent accommodation. We stayed at one; it was lovely.
Yeah, because I remember when I went to, I think it was Cork. There was one where we just stayed upstairs in the pub, and it was kind of just like normal. Like nobody really did anything, like thought anything much more about it, other than that's just how it is. But it's very, very weird. And I don't get it. Like, it doesn't seem that weird. Like, how many hotels you stay in that's a hotel that has a bar in it or something like that? They're like, yeah, but it's not a pub. I was like, yeah, but pubs shut at 11.
Well,
like it's not.
It depends. I mean, here, they're shuttered by 9:30 here.
Oh, really?
Oh, some of them do. It's just like, it's a Friday night. Oh well, come on. The problem is, again, this is English mentality. Getting on, and. To be fair, it was funny enough. They were one of the episodes that I watched last night on when Wrexham was talking about football hooliganism, and it was and it was this because there was an incident. The game that Ryan and Rob came over for. There was an incident at the train station and one of this, and they don't condone it, and it's just like and they were trying to explain, they're explaining to the audience about what football hooliganism is, and it's just like. Yep, this is pretty standard. Then I'll say, whereas I can imagine some people watching it going, "Oh my god, this is barbaric! How can they do this?" It's like, no, this is everywhere. I'm about to say it was quite normal growing up.
I mean, I know they are trying to stamp it out and stuff, but to be fair,
they'll never get rid of football hooligans. Never. It's not going to go anywhere ever.
Like I remember we had pubs where there used to be so we were right near Twickenham, obviously the big rugby stadium there. And you get and the number of times that we had, like there was one pub that was literally within a football's throw to Twickenham, but they wouldn't allow people in with their jerseys on because they didn't want to do that. And it was funny because, like, for example, like when I was working there, you'd find that you'd turn the Guinness the Guinness pump on at like 10 to 11, open the doors at 11, and then you would call last drinks at 10 to 11, and then 10 minutes after last drinks are called. At 11 o'clock, you'd turn the Guinness the Guinness thing on, like it would just run full pelt the whole time. And I remember working at the Twickenham Tup, and it was insanity. Like it was massive, and I was just like, okay, cool. And you'd literally turn the Guinness down. Like I was a salesman there for one of the games because the company that I worked for owned it, and said, "Do you want to go do that?" And literally all you were doing was picking up the back two kegs, giving them a wobble, going, "That's empty," untapping them, retapping new ones, and then they daisy chain into the new ones. And that was your job for the entire day, which you go, a keg's about, what, 55 liters.
Keg is if you're 50-liter keg, so you're talking about 50 kgs.
Yeah,
yeah,
and like these things would empty in maybe 10 minutes at most.
Yeah, I mean, you tend to get because I used to have a kegerator. I used to have one. I don't have one anymore. But yeah,
New house goals.
No, well, I wish. But yeah, I mean, you on average you're getting what is it? God, I can't remember now off the top of my head. I can quickly work it out for you though.
Because it's 40. I know it's 49.5 liters a keg on average. So you would normally get
0.375. You get 133 pints per 50-liter keg, and that is. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but when you've been to, I've been to Twickenham twice. The second time was horrific. That was the day I decided, you know what, while I'm here with my dad and because my dad's club had gotten into the championship finals or whichever league they were playing in, and they came down to Twickenham to play it. And my cousin was on the field, and that was the day I decided not to eat while the Twickenham guzzling down lager and cider like I was a madman. So yeah, it was not a pretty sight on the way home.
Oh man.
Yeah, I it's bad. It's bad when your father has to get you home and he's not. But we was all right. We luckily, we got Uber and just got, it was fine. Once we got away from Twickenham, we were fine. But it was just one of those things.
Jesus Christ.
The next morning, I was very sensitive. He was just like,
he
was like, "Morning, precious." I'm like, "Oh, Dad, shut up."
Yeah. Just give me a bacon sarnie.
No, nothing touched it all day. I did McDonald's, I did the full thing. I did Macca's, I did bacon butties.
Oh my god!
We even had Domino's pizza. Nothing helped. I was a lost cause. There was just too much alcohol in the system.
Actually, there was this girl on TikTok that I saw that was really weird. So she had us two side by sides, and she had 4 or 5 shots of tequila. Then she waited half an hour, and then she did the breathalyzer, and she had one with a full stomach, one with an empty stomach, and both of them came up as I think it was like 0.46 or something after half an hour. Then after an hour, the empty stomach went up to like 0.08 or something, and then the actual full stomach actually went down to 0.3. And I was like, that's kind of weird. Like I know people go, oh, food in the stomach will help, but when she did the first one and they're both exactly the same, I'm like, that seems weird. Like I thought that the food would actually help, and then you see it after an hour, then after an hour and a half, and obviously it gets absorbed into the food and different things. But I was like, wow, that is actually fascinating. And now if I ever drink, so I have a feeling that when we're in Tassie, I'm just going to be eating non-stop just in case.
Nothing wrong with that. It's great. You can be a foodie.
Jordan's just going to be like, wake up in the morning by just...
No, I'm not that bad. I at least get to double digits. Has to be at least 10 o'clock.
He's like, my watch is still set to New Zealand. It's 10 o'clock here.
Although my standard rule is, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, 100%.
You'll probably hear that more than once out of me. Oh, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. And then Ellie rolls her eyes. That's quite normal.
That's funny. No, but it is. It's one of those things where I'm just like, it's kind of funny. But yeah, like, oh man. But I just remember just changing kegs. And because it was daisy chained in the next, it would pull from the first one up to the lines. And then as it empties, it pulls from the other ones. But yeah, with that fourth keg, you just pick it up, shake it, and you're like, okay, cool. Change it, put a new one back on. It was insanity. But yeah, soccer and even rugby hooligans, not to the extent.
Hang on, no. My grandfather told me a great saying when I was little, and it was the football is the gentleman's game played by hooligans, and the rugby is the hooligans' game played by gentlemen. Because it's very... I mean, I'm not saying that rugby doesn't have its own hooligans, as it does, but they're nowhere near as bad. Nowhere near as bad as the footy firms,
Yeah, I won't lie. I do agree they're not as bad, but you still get a few of them. Like I still remember most rugby days we'd have a scuffle where when it was soccer we would have like full-on punch-ons.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things. I mean, to be fair, I've been to so many rugby games where there's no assigned seating with rugby games. It's one of the things I like about rugby games. There's no assigned seating. It's not like home and away and all this jazz. It's not segregated. It's everyone's mixed in and everybody has a good time with it.
Yeah.
Everyone's getting stuck in. Everyone's cheering and hollering, or commiserating. It doesn't matter. It's all up and down throughout the stadium. Whereas when football, that energy builds up on one side or the other, and that's when problems happen. It's like, you just.
Well, we went to see. I think when I was there, we went to see I think it was the London Broncos. Is it the rugby team? London Brumbies or something?
You have the London Irish, London Harlequins, Irish.
Oh, a red team. That's all I remember. I don't remember. All I remember is one of the locals that used to do it was an Australian.
There's one more. Who's the other?
I know we went to see the Harlequins because all the locals at my first pub were massive Harlequin fans.
Yeah, and they've got I've got one under their jerseys. I love it.
Oh, it's great. I used to have one. It was great. But no, there was it was a London team, and I don't know if they were new, but it was this Australian guy that did some commentating.
It'll be Saracens. It'll be the Saracens. Yeah.
Yeah,
the
maybe.
Wasps. That's it. Oh no.
Oh, the Wasps. No, that's who it was. It was the Wasps.
Oh, no, there is the London Broncos. Yeah, there is the Broncos.
Okay, well, they played the Wasps then. Because I remember seeing this field of Thingo. But yeah, one of the guys that was a local at our pub was, he was a commentator. And then he was something for them, like he was their PR guy or something like that. So we went out to there, and I remember getting there, and it's this big new venue and stuff, and they've got like these reefer fridges and stuff. And I'm like, we're walking past these reefers, and because I've worked in enough of these like event environment, I'm like, why aren't they running? Because normally you hear the fan going or a generator or something, and then supposedly what's happened is they've blown a massive fuse and blown up one of the generators the night before because of all these things running on it. So we get there, and they've got sorry, and it's either it's either Tetley's or I think Cronenberg, but they're just like, oh, we're just doing a four pack for £5, and we're like, okay. Like the only problem is it's warm. So we sat there at the Brumbies drinking warm Tetley's because I'm like, I can't drink warm Cronenberg. Like warm lager would just be worse.
How can you drink warm Tetley's?
Well, they kind of had these ice bars with water in it, and I noticed though that because I got them at the start of the event, they were still like not cold but not warm either. But when we went back there in lunchtime, they were just sitting in these buckets of water, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to drink any more beer. And they're like, no, get one. I'm like, nah. And I remember Burrow just sits there and has a sip and goes,
yeah.
Oh, that's horrible. He's
I think honestly, I think I would honestly I'd rather have a warm Cronenberg than a warm Tetley's, because Tetley's, man. Oh, I mean, I do drink hazy pale ales and all that down here now, but it tastes completely different down here than it does up up north. Right.
But I just remember it. It was just bleh.
Yeah. Anyway, right, let's end it there because we don't want to waffle on too long, and I've got to edit it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a busy boy today. So we want to say a big thank you to everyone. Please make sure you are subscribed and following us. We are on Google Podcasts. We're also on Spotify. And
Ryan Reynolds, if you can follow us too, that'd be great. We've called you the Lord Savior. Like, please. He's Lord Savior.
In fact, Des, you need to make an awesome thumbnail of him casting his holy light down upon us.
That'd be funny as.
But yeah, so obviously I've been Jordan here from Dorks Down Under with my co-host Des. Thank you for joining us. We don't know what we're going to talk about next week because we're going to be live in person. Yay!
Yes, so it could go completely haywire at that point.
Yeah, I think I got a feeling it might be. Well, we could do it. Hilarious way of doing it would be after the wedding. When we get back and we're quite pissed to do a podcast episode. But I think that's a bit of a stretch. We might we'll play around with it.
We'll figure something out, that's for sure. But yeah, it could be fun.
It's going to be good fun. We're going to look forward to it. But we want to say a big thank you to all our recent people who've been following us and subscribing to the channel. It's always helpful. And yes, please make comments, interact. If you've got any great ideas and tips, or what's your favourite Ryan Reynolds movie, I'll let us know.
Two guys and girls in a pizza place.
Oh, no, you see, I like Van Wilder still. Van Wilder, man.
Have you not seen that? No, that was a TV series that he was in. That's where he got his big break.
No, I know. I remember. It's the two guys and the girls on a pizza place. Yeah, I do remember.
And then it just changed its name to Two Guys, a Girl because they got rid of the pizza place because they couldn't afford it or whatever.
Yeah, but no, I'll say. So yeah, anyway, we want to say much love. Thank you for all the love recently. It's been great fun. And yeah, we'll be coming at you live from good old Tassie.
We will actually be down under Down under.
Well, you're already down under. I'm just going to be.
Yeah, but
I'm coming up to down under.
That's especially down under.
Yes, although I'm planning on trying not to sing the Tasmanian Devil cartoon theme song the entire time that we're hanging out.
Yeah, it's pretty. It'd be rude not to. I think.
Yeah, I think. Anyway. So much love, guys. Thank you very much for joining us on this week's episode of Dorks Down Under. Catch you guys
Peace.
later.